Greetings, Fast Track crew. As promised, I'm going to give you a bit of an insight into some of the sorts of things that we learn in Griffin as you start stepping up and showing us that you've got what it takes. You're going to learn more and more of this stuff, but I do want to give you some sneak peeks about some of the different things that we learn. And something that I thought was very appropriate to show you is some of the learning that we do about empowering ambassadors, which is exactly what we're doing with you now, is to try and teach you to empower other people to come to the venue and to bring their friends with them. So this is right on point for you guys. So the first obvious question is, what is an ambassador? An ambassador is someone who feels empowered to introduce other people to your network. So someone who's comfortable to say that you are a person of credibility, that their friends might want to know. And what is empowerment? Empowerment is creating motivation in other people so that they will take an action. And President Obama is a great example of that. Whether or not he knows how to run the country is an open question, but one thing that he knew how to do was motivate millions and millions of people that never voted before to actually vote in the elections. Why do we want to empower ambassadors? Well, there's 4 reasons. In a nutshell, empowered ambassadors bring connected people to our network. And you want connected people for 4 key reasons. Connected people interact frequently, meaning that you're not doing all the running around. Connected people become ambassadors themselves a lot more often than just random people off the street. People that are connected to your network from an ambassador are much more cooperative and they contribute more. They actually bring something to the table. It's not just take all the time. And connected people fit in with the existing network by definition because they're connected. So the next question, how do I empower people? Essentially, the way that we say to do it is to appeal to their natural human desire to be connected to experiences that are important to them. And that's easy to say, but it is the nutshell of it. And what we're going to do is show you how we kind of break that down into some steps so you can pull apart the process by which someone gets that desire to be connected to the experiences that are important to them and how you can become involved in that experience. So here's the steps, 6 of them. Listen and reflect, first and most important, and then establish rapport. And then if you do that right, you'll be able to anchor a feeling. And at that point, you can then pre-position them for follow-up. And if you do those 4 things, then you can invite some feedback and bridge. And then finally, following up with a person is very, very important in getting someone empowered as an ambassador. So probably what you're thinking now is, why would I do it this way? Can't I just keep doing what I'm already doing? You can. And do. The diagram that I've just showed you is not something that was kind of made up by a scientist. It was made up by observation of actual communications that go well. So the reason to do it the way that's in the diagram is because it's genuine and it just mirrors natural human communication. What the diagram is designed to reflect is what a good empowerment conversation looks like when it happens naturally anyway. Another reason is because it will allow you to improve your communication gradually, 1 step at a time. So everyone has different communication strengths and weaknesses, and it will allow you to pick it apart and go, where am I already communicating well that I can just keep exploiting and going, wow, I'm really good at that. This is the best way for me to approach people. And also, if you're falling down in an area, or if it's falling apart, you can pick it apart and just not go, I'm bad at this. You can say, this is the 1 step that I'm not really good at. The rest I'm good at, but this is the area where I want to focus to really improve my game. The 3rd reason is because it will allow you to communicate your success to your teammates. So mostly with communication, it's kind of, I'm good at it or I'm not good at it. But having this structure creates a language that you can talk to each other about and talk to existing Griffin and other staff about. It's a language around communication that means that you can say, I'm good at this, but I'm not good at that. Can you give me a hand with this? Or I noticed that you do this really well. Can you tell me more about how you learned that? So let's break down the steps and have a look at what they involve. So the most fundamental part of empowering someone is the first step. And I always say to people, if you're not going to do anything else, just listen and reflect. Because really, if you don't do that, then none of the other steps matter, because the person's not listening to you anyway. Gather information about the person. This is what small talk is for, is to gather information. And you need to understand their point of view. And you'll know that you understand their point of view if you can reflect their present concerns. So once you've gathered information, you reflect it back. And that shows the other person that you understand, and it makes it clear to the other person that you're actually listening to what they're saying. And it's very, very powerful when you establish that with another person. So the second step, once you've established with the other person that you're actually listening to what they're saying, is to establish some rapport with that person. So rapport means that someone is comfortable to talk to you. Just talk about stuff. If the person knows that you're listening, they'll talk to you and they'll keep talking. But there's 4 specific things that we've noticed really help someone feel very comfortable with you very quickly. First of all, complimenting someone on how they look in a specific way. Because people tend to dress in a specific way, and there should be something on them that stands out. If you notice that, that makes a difference to them, and it shows that person that you're observing them and that you're focused on them. Another thing is to establish something in common. So if someone says something and you say, oh, that's interesting because, and you relate it to something in your life, that actually shows that you've got a desire to get connected to that person. Another really powerful way to establish rapport is to ask them their opinion about something. And it doesn't have to be something big deal. Quite often, when I've established with someone that I'm listening to them, I'll actually just ask them if they're in the lineup to a club, if they prefer the upstairs room or the downstairs room. And people become so enthusiastic and engaged because you've actually asked their opinion, which shows that you actually give a shit about what they think. When you're complimenting, finding out things in common and asking opinions, what you're really scanning for is how the person is feeling right then. If you can discover how they're feeling, that's a very powerful level of rapport to establish in a conversation, and it leads us to our next step, which is called anchoring a feeling. When you're asking someone about their opinions and trying to understand how they're feeling, you're going to give yourself an opportunity to embed something called an anchor, which is a feeling that's established between you and that other person, particularly if you're talking about things in common and their opinions about the things that you have in common. Then once you've established what that feeling is, that feeling stays as a memory, and feelings make much stronger memories for people than opinions or ideas. It's the feelings that really stick around in people's brains. So something that I encourage people to do is really try and establish what that feeling is between you and another person that you've brought into some rapport with. And if you remember, you can even record that somewhere so that the next time you see that person, you can check back and see if you natively remembered that without having to check on your check sheet. It's a really great indicator. If you can see someone once and establish a feeling with them, and the next time you see them, you remember that feeling and so do they, that means you've established powerful rapport with that person, something that endures just past the interaction. If you've managed to do that, then the next thing to do is to start making some promises. Promises are really powerful, and they create lengthy anchors through time with people and also give you permission to be back in communication with someone. So you need to ensure that they're keen to be in communication with you. That's really, really important, and you need to establish that. And you know that you've established that if they're comfortable to swap details with you. And that can be anything. It can be a phone number, it can be your full name. People often ask me what my name on Facebook is. That means that I've established some rapport with them. But also, you want to swap some promises. So allow them to make a promise to you and make sure you make a promise to them. And that can be as simple as, I'll add you when I get home. That's fine, but it needs to be quite clear what the promise is. And then, this is really important, if you've promised someone something, make a note somewhere that you will see at the right time to allow you to keep that promise. The second to last step is, once you've established rapport with someone, then the interaction has run its course. And really great communicators know how to invite someone to be back in communication with them and introduce them to someone else, so that their communication and their conversation can keep going. Nothing is more empowering for someone than to be talking to someone who's a really good communicator, and that really good communicator puts them into communication with another good communicator. It really makes them feel like they're having a great night, or their day is going really well, because it makes them feel like a good communicator. So if you've established rapport with someone and you've made some promises, then introduce them to someone else that you know, and they're going to really remember you for that. And then you can bridge into a new conversation with someone else. And the final step, so simple but so important, is if you've promised to follow up with someone, make sure you do. You've gone to all this trouble to establish rapport with someone who could be a really powerful ambassador. And if you don't follow up with them as promised, they'll fade off the map. So these are the key steps. Listen and reflect, first and fundamental. If you're doing that well, you should be able to establish some rapport with the person and then anchor a feeling. If you've done that, preposition for follow-up. Take it to the next level. And then once you've done that, invite feedback and start bridging out. Introduce them to someone else. And then, if you've gone to all of that trouble, make sure you follow up. It's so powerful for someone when you've just said to them, I'll add you on Facebook, and they wake up the next morning and bang, there you are in their feed. So I've shown you all these technical steps. Why does it work? I really want to stress this. Those steps just mirror the natural way that people get to know each other. It's not scientific, it's just observation of conversations that go well and trying to break that down into the actual steps if you wanted to pull it apart and explain it. It creates a systematic way for you to analyze your communication. So it means that if you're struggling with communication, you don't need to go and pay someone $1 million to coach you in communication. You can just actually observe yourself in communication and see where it's falling down. And you can observe other expert communicators and go, what are they doing that's different to what I'm doing? And you can actually nail the specific things that they're doing that aren't in your approach. The third reason it works is it allows coaches to observe and communicate in a language that we all understand. So instead of you coming to me or someone else in Griffin and saying, I suck at communication, you can now say, hey Dave, I'm really good at listening and reflecting to people, but I just don't know how to observe someone's body and give them a compliment that actually makes a difference. Every time I compliment someone, they punch me in the face. Or whatever it is, you can really nail it where your communication's falling down. And conversely, and really importantly, you can now understand where you're good at communicating and actually just focus on that and just be good at what you're good at. Next question would probably be, how can I become a master communicator? How can I become as good as Barack Obama? How can I get millions and millions of people to turn out and do something that they had not intended to do before they spoke to me? Firstly, and most importantly, one step at a time. Just start listening and reflecting to people. Just do one thing at a time. Until you're good at the first step, don't move to the second. The second thing is, now that you've got a language, you can get some coaching. Ask someone in Griffin to observe you. We're happy to do it. Third, and quite comfortably for a lot of people that are a bit more shy, you can now observe other good communicators. Look at people in movies, because movies structure communications to be perfect. But also, look at people in real life that you will respect as good communicators and observe how they communicate and see where they're powerful and see where the communication falls down. And you'll be able to see it for yourself step by step. Really importantly, if you don't go out and do this, nothing's going to happen. No amount of observing will help you if you don't go and apply it. But remember that doing doesn't have to be a big deal. Every time you go through a supermarket checkout, there's an opportunity to listen and reflect. And if it doesn't go well, it doesn't matter. What are they going to do? Jump the counter? I don't think so. They're just going to appreciate that you actually said hello to them and didn't just ignore them and wait for you to just do your shopping and get out of there. And really importantly, if you want to become a master, don't get too caught up in the technical details. Just be yourself and try and understand how you're already naturally good at communication. So just in summary, empowerment is creating motivation in others such that they will take an action.